President, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's so stupid. I mean, look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron.
What if I told you that two men, one a comedian, one a cinema legend, did something on live American television that a sitting president could not ignore, could not dismiss, and absolutely could not control? What if I told you that Jimmy Kimmel and Robert De Niro stepped into a moment so explosive that even Donald Trump was forced to respond? What if I told you that the government of the United States, the most powerful government on earth, tried to silence a man for telling a joke, and that decision backfired so completely, so publicly, so devastatingly, that it became one of the most watched moments in late-night television history? And what if I told you that Donald Trump's own response, furious, personal, and deeply revealing, told the American public more about his character than any investigation or congressional hearing ever could? Stay right here, because this story is not just about a sketch, or a monologue, or a celebrity feud. This is about power, silence, resistance, and what happens when the people being silenced refuse to stay quiet. To understand what made that September 2025 evening so extraordinary, you have to go back to what came before it. Jimmy Kimmel had done what late-night hosts have done for 7 decades in this country. He told a joke. He delivered a monologue. He said things about a powerful person that were designed to make people laugh and think at the same time. That is the job. That has always been the job. But something was different this time. The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, under leadership appointed during Donald Trump's administration, publicly threatened ABC's broadcast licenses. Not privately, not quietly behind closed doors, publicly. The message was unmistakable. Fall in line or lose your ability to broadcast. ABC made a decision. Kimmel went off the air. 6 days. 6 days of silence from a man who had spoken to America almost every night for years. 6 days of not knowing whether everything he had built, every year of work, every relationship with his audience had simply been ended by a political decision from Washington. Think about what that means. A comedian, a joke, and the government of the United States stepping in to say enough. Now here is where I need you to pay attention, because what happened next is the part that changed everything. When Jimmy Kimmel returned to the El Capitan Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, he did not return to a normal audience on a normal evening. 6.26 million people tuned in. Let that number sit with you for a moment. 6,260,000 Americans deliberately chose to watch this particular episode, making it the most watched episode in the entire history of his show. Not because of a celebrity guest, not because of a musical performance, because a government had tried to silence a man, and the American public wanted him to know, we see you, we are here. It did not work. The audience inside that theater did not simply applaud when Kimmel walked out. They stood, they chanted. And when Kimmel finally spoke, it was not just comedy, it was something deeper, something personal. But here is the thing about that night. Kimmel had planned something that nobody in that audience, nobody watching at home, and certainly nobody in Washington was expecting. Before I tell you what Robert De Niro did on that stage, and trust me, you need to hear every single detail of this, I want to ask you something directly. Do you think that when a government tries to silence a comedian for telling a joke that crosses a line? Drop your answer in the comments right now, yes or no. And here's another question I want you to think about as this story unfolds. Why does a president like Donald Trump spend so much time responding to actors and comedians? Keep that question in your mind, because by the end of this video, you will have your answer. Kimmel announced to his audience that he had invited FCC Chairman Brendan Carr to appear on the show via video call. The screen behind Jimmy Kimmel lit up, and the man on that screen was not Brendan Carr. It was Robert De Niro, one of the most respected actors in American cinema, now playing the FCC chairman as a full-blooded, completely committed mob enforcer. The studio didn't just laugh, it lost its mind. De Niro stayed in character, no apology, no hesitation. And then came the line that spread across the internet within minutes, the line that millions heard at the same time and understood instantly. In one sentence, De Niro captured the entire situation, a system that claims to protect speech, behaving like something else entirely. The irony was not subtle, it was precise. Jimmy Kimmel pushed forward, he pointed out the contradiction, and Robert De Niro, still in character, responded instantly. Confident, unfiltered. Then came the moment that froze the room. A fictional rule, a fictional system, but one that felt very real. The audience understood immediately, because this was not just comedy, it was reflection. This is what great satire does. It shows truth in a way that cannot be ignored. The response from Donald Trump came quickly. A post, then another. He called Robert De Niro names, questioned his intelligence, mocked his career. His team followed with official statements, same tone, same direction. Now, stop and think about that. An administration that had taken issue with a joke had no structured response to a performance seen by millions, only personal attacks. Why? Because sometimes the image is too accurate to argue with. So, instead, you attack the person. And that reaction, that immediate emotional reaction, revealed something important, more than any speech could. This was not the first time Robert De Niro had spoken out. He had appeared outside courthouses, at rallies, on national television. Each time his words carried weight, and each time Donald Trump responded. Not with policy, not with counter-arguments, but with personal remarks about films, about reputation, about status. As if those things answered the question being asked, as if they changed the message. So, let me ask you something. When a political leader tries to silence a character by telling a joke, what does that tell you? Write it below. I want to hear your perspective. There is something that happens when you try to silence someone like Jimmy Kimmel. You amplify them. You give them reach they didn't have before. You create a tension that cannot be controlled. Kimmel returned to the biggest audience of his career, and standing beside that moment was Robert De Niro, delivering a performance that cut deeper than any headline. Millions watched, millions shared, and Donald Trump responded in only the way he could, with emotion, with frustration, with words that revealed more than they intended to hide. Sometimes the reaction tells you everything. What Jimmy Kimmel and Robert De Niro did that night was more than entertainment. It was a demonstration of what happens when a voice is pushed and refuses to disappear. They did not just speak, they were heard. And in that moment, the response from Donald Trump became part of the story itself. Because sometimes the honest answer is not in what's said calmly, it's in what's said in anger. That's what people saw, that's what people remember, and that's why this moment still matters.